Welcome back to Comment, where in today's question in r/askreddit, police officers of Reddit, what was something you saw someone do that made you say, wait, is that illegal? Before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more daily uploads. Also, I wanted to point out that the question, or the user that asked this question is a deadly man, and he's asking police officers. Just pointing it out. I was drunk at a bar that only had one toilet for men and one for women, and the lines were way too long during a football game. So I went outside to pee. I ended up getting a ticket for urinating in public. The next day, I look up the code the officer cited me for, and it was the equivalent of littering. But you see, in all my glory, I actually had the decency to pee into a trash can. So, I prepared my defense to show up in court and plead to the judge that I was innocent because you can't litter into a trash can. The officer didn't show up to court, so I ended up getting off, but I still wonder how hard the judge would have laughed in my face. My dog ran out into the street and into the side of a driving car. Crazy lady, whose son was driving, got out and started threatening to call the cops because our dog dented and scratched her car. After she left, my mom called the cops to see if there was anything we could be held accountable for. Was it on your property? No. Was your dog driving a car? No. You're fine. My concern is if the dog's actually okay. My mate rode the train in only his boxers after he lost his swimming pants, or whatever the F you English people call it. A cop was on the same train as us, and he just kept looking like he didn't know what the F to do because it's not really written in the rules that you cannot ride a train in your boxers if you pay for it. LMAO. A police officer. News story about a man in Louisiana who rode his horse home drunk. The officer pulled him over to arrest him, and he said that the horse knew the way home. The officer couldn't give him a DUI because he was on the horse and only gave him a ticket for public intoxication. The cop to get off her phone while driving. Turns out, cops are legally allowed to use digital devices in performance on their duties while driving in Ontario. They don't even get special training either. Passionate hugging with animals. This has always been a pretty weird twist here. Here, hurting animals is considered animal abuse and is illegal. Also, filming and selling animal videos is illegal, but the act itself is not illegal. I've always wondered how they made such a distinct separation between filming passionate hugging with animals being illegal, but having passionate hugging with animals not being illegal. That's just weird. I saw a police officer who shoved a tennis ball into the gas pump handle to keep it pumping gas while he went to the convenience store. Seems like a serious fire hazard. A motorized sofa down the road to the store to buy beer. I honestly have no effing clue how the courts would classify mobility sofas when it comes to traffic laws and open beer laws. Told the reclining driver the same and advised he treat his couch like a pedestrian and only drive on the sidewalk without any open alcoholic beverages. I'm not a cop, but I was the receiving end of a relevant situation. In high school, we'd just gotten our licenses and we were being stupid kids and behaved stupidly. We were speeding at night in a van, so much in fact we bottomed out and sent sparks flying. Anyway, the cop pulls us over, thinking we were shooting fireworks out of the windows, and technically we were out past curfew. Anyway, I had a small black pouch in my hands that I kinda instinctively drew in. The cop noticed and demanded to know what was in the pouch, to which I replied, "Magic cards, sir." He looked at them and then looked at me, like he would have respected me more if it had been crack. Police officer, but once I saw someone drive around in a roundabout for an hour. Whee! Cop, but once when I was still in high school, I did school with a bunch of friends and ended up being pulled over for a minor traffic violation. Now, I was a senior and was already 18 years old. Well, a cop is talking with my other friend who is also 18. After a 5-minute talk, the cop turns to me, the only other 18-year-old of our group, and asked what my understanding of the truant law was. I told him I thought it was that if I am 18, I can't get a ticket for truancy. He smiles a bit and says, "That's what I thought," and didn't write his tickets. Cool. I was on a ride along and we saw someone flick a butt out of the window. Pull the car over. My friend the cop was like, I know that's illegal, but I can't remember the exact law broken. We figured littering obviously, but we're sure there was something more specific and severe. Then I remembered the signs I saw while driving through the forest. Throwing burning material from a vehicle. Looked it up in his code book. Fine, $500. Guy told me once that if I didn't get his license for his job back, he'd go out and commit crimes, so he gets to go to prison and doesn't have to worry about food and lodging. Outstanding move. I have a question because it highlights a pretty huge problem in the United States. Why are cops not required to know the laws they enforce, but we need to know them in a police encounter? I don't know, maybe because you're being arrested? Not but friends with one. He pulled a gal over for drunk driving. She got cold while standing outside of her car, so he gave her his gloves. The lady ran into the median, popped a squat, and peed on his gloves. That's just disgusting. Nope, but I got pulled over and had my car searched for having 1 gallon freezer bag full of coffee beans in my back windshield. They thought I was trafficking drugs. I wasn't. I worked at a coffee shop. I'm not a police officer, but kind of the criminal in this case. I mounted a truck horn to a bicycle, which is kind of illegal in Germany, but I got off with a warning. The police officers had to look up if there was a law about this. A police officer, but found out riding a bicycle while intoxicated is treated the same as driving a car while intoxicated, and you will lose your driver's license. Some good advice. Not a police officer, but a friend of mine who once had to go to court. This was in Montana. He gave a DUI to an extremely drunk guy who was riding his horse. Wait a minute. The guy's argument to the judge was, the horse was not drunk. I hope it wasn't. They were speeding in front of me once, so I followed the exact same speed limit as him, which was way over the speed limit. He ends up getting behind me and pulling me over. He asked me why I was going fast, and my answer was, "'Cause you're doing it too." He tries to say it's to catch the speeders, but I proceeded to point out that unless he has his lights on, he isn't allowed to speed either. I walked away with no ticket, obviously, lol. My sister and her friends had just passed the driver's test a week or so prior. One of her friends was out late and got pulled over and detained for driving past curfew. As a new driver, you have one. And told to call someone to pick her up and she'd be good to go. Dumbbutt calls my equally dumb sister, who goes to pick her up and proceeds to get detained for the same reason. Had to call my mom at 2 a.m. and she wasn't happy. That r/askreddit video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more daily uploads. And don't forget, keep the conversation down in the comment section below.